beautiful day in North Carolina. Weather's great, probably in the high 70s. I don't think it's in the 80s. It doesn't feel that warm. It feels more like it's in the 70s. I'm getting ready to go out on one of my daily rides. I thought maybe I'd just record this riding and give y'all a little bit of insight into the way that I ride, the way that I use the controller and everything. I think it's good for people to see how other people ride their e-bikes, because not all e-bikes are the same. Controllers work differently. I've got two e-bikes. I've got electric and I've got this Palerna, and the controls on them are very different. The way that they react, the way the PAS modes or the way the PAS modes are hooked up, and becomes a train when you know it. But anyway, let me get on the way and I'll talk as we go along. First of all, let me cut my batteries on, main battery and my auxiliary battery. Got them both on. I'm reading 48.7. 48.7 is 63%. I've ridden it. This is my third day. I usually ride 3 days before I recharge. This is my third day for a 15-mile ride. Okay, I got my Wahoo app up and I'll get it going. Go ahead and get it going now. I'm going to go ahead and hit my start right now. That gets this app running. I'm going to go ahead and cut on my controller. Controller's cut on. Okay, I've zeroed out my trip, so that's ready. I guess we're on our way. Go ahead and put it in PAS 5. I'll give it a little power. And I'm on my way. This is a 15-mile ride that I will be taking today. It consists of residential streets, city thoroughfares, and country back roads. I travel this route daily for exercise. I normally ride about 17 miles per hour through the residential streets and around 20 to 21 miles per hour on the open roads. This is Friday afternoon, so the traffic is heavier than normal. These streets and roads are rather flat for the most part, with a few small hills. Now, that's one thing about this controller that's a lot different from my XP is that this is a gradual build-up in speed. As you can see now, I'm gradually building up my speed. And I'd already be maxed out now. I would have maxed out way before this on my XP because it goes straight to full current in pedal assist, where this doesn't. This builds up gradually. Notice I'm pulling about 250, 260 watts. If I go up this hill, it should increase a little bit. I'm going up a hill. Okay, it's not much of a hill, but it's just a little bit. Okay, now get my brakes. Now, as you notice right here, it takes it a while to build up. Now, a lot of people may like this, and this is fine for a leisurely ride. It's nothing, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just a gradual kick in. You gradually build up the speed. Now, let it kick itself off again. Shift down a little bit. Okay, it's slowly flowing in. That's how this controller works, which I think a lot of people may like it, the way that it works. Trying a new phone mount, which I may go back to my other one. I like the way this one clips in and out. It's real easy to take your phone in and out of it. But the bracket that it's on, it's got a little bit of springiness to it, which I don't like. Okay, now this time I'm going to hit the accelerator. And see, now I'm up to speed, or thereabout. And what I do a lot of times, if I'm in, I'll go down to a slower speed. I'll go down to a lower PAS mode to lock it in. Let me do that. Let me show you this. This is kind of nice, especially for neighborhood riding. I'm going to drop it down to 4. 4 is fairly slow. Let me go up to 4 and see how fast it's going at 4. Okay, see 4 is a little less than 13 miles an hour. Well, it's about 13. Cruise control is locked in to that speed. Now I quit pedaling and it dropped down a little bit. Pedal back up. And what I do when I'm in this mode, this is a little bit slower than I normally ride, but I've got the liberty of going up. So I'm going to go up to 5 and just leave the cruise control in 4. And what this does, this gives me a quicker acceleration when I go to those higher PAS modes. So remember now, the cruise control is set at PS 4 and I'm in PS 5. When I quit pedaling, it'll go back down to the cruise control level. So now I'm at the cruise control level. I'm not pedaling, I'm going up a slight hill. And the speed is, somewhere close to 13 when it levels out. But as soon as I start pedaling, and I'll feel it kick in, there it goes. Just kicked in, PES kicked on in, and I'm up to my PS 5 pedal assist. And if I want to go up another one, I just hit it, and it jumps on up to 6. Going downhill. I'm going to coast down this hill. Okay, now it's going to end up back in PES mode for throttle. Once that speed reaches down to, and I haven't hit my brakes yet, and I haven't hit my throttle yet. So the cruise control is going to stay engaged this whole time. Now if I start pedaling, I'm in 6. So it'll pick right on up. Okay, there it goes. I feel it. So it takes a 2 to 3 second delay before it kicks in. But it kicks in a lot quicker than if I don't have the cruise control on. Shift down a little bit. Okay, there it goes. It kicked back in. Yeah, it works nice for right in the neighborhood. I'm going to drop back 1, drop it back to 5, because really around these neighborhoods like this, I don't like to go too fast, because you do have a lot of intersections, and you have a lot of, people, kids, and everything else around. So I try to keep my speed under 18 miles an hour in residential areas. And as you noticed, if you look down right now, I'm drawing, I'm going downhill, so that's going to affect my wattage. You have to start leveling out in just a second. Still going downhill a little bit. Okay, we're starting to level off now. Let's see, it's at about 125 watts. Not much current. Okay, now I disengaged my cruise control. So if I wanted to get back into that same one that I was in a while ago, I'd just go ahead and put it in 4 and hold my throttle down for 8 seconds. Once I reach that 8 seconds, it's locked into that range. So now if I want to kick it up to 5, I'll just hit 5. And that kicks it up to 5. Going uphill a little bit. I like to keep my cadence around 80. But, going through a neighborhood like this, you'd be shifting all the time, really, to try to keep it right on that cadence. So that's something that I try to control more when I'm out on open stretches, as I will be in a little bit. I'm close to my cadence, 78, that's fine. Anywhere between 75 and 85. The gearing on this bike spread out pretty much. So shifting one gear may be anywhere between 10 and 12 RPM of cadence each gear. It's a pretty good gap there. Okay, I'm coming up to a thoroughfare. I'm going to drop it, push it on up to 8. Full traffic going. I'm going to stop. Okay. One thing I forgot to do, and since I'm out here on this thoroughfare, I'm going to cut my strobe lights on. Doesn't hurt for that little extra assurance. I'm going to be seen. So I'm going to go ahead now, take off. It is Friday. A lot of traffic out here. Okay. Now that I'm through the intersection, I'm going to drop back to about 6. School getting out up here. A line of cars. Let me go ahead and get by this traffic, because I don't want anybody to come up behind me and for me to hold them up. Okay, I'm by the traffic. Drop it back down. I'm going to put it in 6. Hit the cruise control. My battery level is around 50%, a little less now, and so I've lost a few miles per hour. Normally 6 is going to get me above 20, but since the battery level is down, it's not getting me quite up to that. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to keep my cruise control set there, but I'm going to just bump up my PES. In other words, I've got it in cruise control right now. Quit pedaling. This is my speed. Not pedaling. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to just bump that up to 7. And and now 7 will kick in. Okay, there it goes, just kicked in. A little bit of a delayed in. Took it 5-6 seconds to kick in. Going up to an intersection. Drop it back down to 6. No traffic. Go ahead and take off. And we'll go ahead and kick it back up to 7. I don't know, I'm gonna leave it here for a while. This is plenty fast. As long as I can get my cadence up around 80. Let me drop back a gear and see. It's probably about 85. Well, a little bit higher than that, about 86, 85. Got my heart rate at 104, 84. This is fine. This will give you a good cardiovascular workout. This is about right now because I think I've got a tailwind. I don't feel much wind in my face. I'm pretty sure I've got a tailwind, and my current wattage is real low, so that's another indication that I've got a tailwind. First flag I come up on, I can tell, yeah, the American flag right there, the wind's behind me. That and hills really affects the amount of current that these bikes use. Because at this speed right now, and I'm pulling what, mainly less than 400 watts, not much. And of course, this bike is rated at 750 watts, and that's the nominal rating, that's not the peak rating. So technically, you can ride it all day at 150, and it shouldn't overheat, technically. You've got a 500 watt motor, technically, you can ride it all day pulling 500 watts. But see, I'm not even up to the nominal rating for a 500 watt motor. Getting close to it, not there. I get a headwind, you'll see a lot of things changing. I'm gonna go up here and hit a country road, and when I hit that country road, goes along kind of slow. I got a red light up here. Okay. I'll back up and running. Got a right turn up here. Put me on a back country road. Okay, so I'm out in the country. It's a narrow little road here, doesn't have any shoulder. So you got to watch your traffic while you're on this road. Got a vehicle coming up from behind. Like I might have a couple of vehicles behind me, but anyway. It's a 45-mile-an-hour zone, but very few people will be going 45. They usually do about 55 or 60. Got to kind of watch these roads. You got a lot of young boys in the trucks on it. This is more traffic than I normally see on this road. I could do, we're going to be on this road probably for 3 miles on this little country back road. I'll take a turn up here. And it's not unusual for me to ride this whole stretch and not have a single vehicle to pass me. But it's Friday, and it's Friday afternoon. It's not quite 3 o'clock yet. Traffic's always bad everywhere on Fridays, I think. And I'm riding this route a little bit slower than I normally do. Normally I'm up around 20, 21 miles an hour. But the weather's cooled off so much that there's not that heat factor. So the wind going across me and that hot weather cools me down. And it's cool enough today that don't really need it. Hit these little low spots here in the country, and it gets right cool. Cool enough for my wife to want her sweater on. But you know how it's me and all. We're tough. We don't need no sweater. Real men don't wear sweaters anyhow. It's a beautiful day though, it really is. Still haven't felt that headwind yet. I think now I've got just a slight headwind off to my right. When I turn up here, I've got to make a right turn up ahead. I get a little bit of a headwind right there. But I have an auxiliary battery hookup on this. I've got my standard 14 amp hour battery, and I run in conjunction with it an auxiliary battery, which is a 20 amp hour battery. So it stretched my range out a lot. This is kind of my normal day riding, what I'm doing now. Actually, probably a little slower than my normal, maybe 1 or 2 miles an hour slower than I normally ride. So you can kind of get a feel comparing to how you ride is the battery range, because I can get 60 miles at this pace with the setup that I've got on this bike. I don't ride at 60 miles because when you start dropping below 25%, you start feeling that degrading current, degrading power. The acceleration is the first clue that your battery's starting to decline. you lose that acceleration, and then you start, when it gets down real low, you start feeling that top speed backing off, and you're just not getting any top speed out of it anymore. So I don't like to ride it when it gets like that. So I cut it off when it's down to 25%, which is about 46 volts. Now remember, when you check your voltage, it's hard to do it on these bikes because they don't have a voltmeter. That's why I put this little voltmeter on here. Now it says 56.2 now, but that doesn't mean anything, because when I stop and wait for, let's say, a minute and a half, 2 minutes, that voltage is going to jump up about 2 volts, which is a lot. That's where you check your voltage. You don't check it while you're riding. And the same thing with this meter up here. I've been trying to adjust it, but haven't been able to figure out any logic behind the percentage gauge on this Palermo. You know, this road has got a lot of traffic, so I'm gonna bump it up to 9. I'm not gonna be here about a half a mile, less than a half a mile. Now this is 45-mile-an-hour road too, but very few people ride at 45 miles an hour on it. And this intersection coming up can be a dangerous intersection. You need to really watch it. Got a car coming up behind me. Let him know my intention. Okay. And I made my turn. It's a blind curve up there, and a lot of people turn off. About 50% of the traffic will turn off on this road, so you really have to watch it. And this road has a little bit of traffic on it. For the most part, it's straight. I got plenty of time to pass me. It's just this first curve to watch out for those people that are impatient. Drop down to 7. I got a couple, at least 2 vehicles behind me. Then again, this road doesn't have much of a shoulder either. It's got a little bit, but not much. I've got a couple of more cars way behind me coming up. Drop my gear down a little bit, get my cadence up. Okay, got somebody behind me. Didn't want to slow down. I finally slowed down. This road is a 55-mile-an-hour road. Normally not this much traffic on this road, but I picked a bad day to be taking this little route. I usually don't do it on Fridays. Now we were at this intersection a while ago. Okay, cut through up here. Got a school coming up, and they're probably letting school out about along now. So it's a little bit of a traffic problem there. Avoid some of that traffic. We'll drop it back. I'm in residential. Now I'm off the hustle and bustle. GPS, I've gone a little over 11 miles, and the trip on the Palermo, which is slow, says I've gone a little less than 10 miles. The GPS is right, because I know these roads. Plus, I've got 2 GPSs actually going. I got one on my other phone going, and they're usually within, you ride 15 miles, they're usually within a couple of tenths of each other. Some of those school buses from that school. Went up a little hill there, gave it a little nudge to get up it. I've noticed that this bike, especially if you get down at the low power end, where it's not drawing much current, that it has a tendency not to dump the current in there like it really needs to do. Seems like if you're not up pretty close, now if you're up pretty close to speed, like right now, jumps in fairly well. It's just when you're down at those slow speeds, you have to use that throttle to pump in some more current. And if I want to take off and I'm in a congested area or traveling through town thoroughfares, I use the throttle all the time while I'm pedaling. I use it to get me up to speed. Better stop here. Go up here and make a left turn. Speed up a little bit, get me on up there. Make my left turn. Drop it down to 5. Okay, gearing down a little bit. Make a right turn. And I'll bump it a little bit. Get on up this hill. A little bit of an incline. Now I'll release the throttle. And now it's running off power assist only. Another little hill here. Just drop it back a gear. You feel the bike slowing down. If I want to get on up it, I'll just give it just a little throttle. The potentiometer, this throttle does have a potentiometer in it, but potentiometer in it is very quick. In other words, if you move it ever so lightly, like I say, I've got a little bit of throttle right now, but if I go all the way down, see, it picked it up, so it does have a variance in there, but it's such a narrow little range, so you have to push it down halfway down before it even kicks in. So it does have a potentiometer. I know I saw a video and the guy didn't think it had anything but an on-off, but it's got more than an on-off. It's got a potentiometer. So I've got it wide open now, and I ease off a little bit. It's got hung in cruise control. And I ease off on it a little bit. Let's see, right now I've got the throttle going about 10. I give it just a little more throttle. See how quick it is? It just doesn't give you much leeway. I got up to 11. I give it just a little more throttle. Got it up to 12. Give it a little more throttle. Got it up to 13. Give it a little more throttle. Got it up to 14. Give it a little more throttle. Well, okay, that's about maxed out on the throttle in this PS mode. So it does have a potentiometer in there. It just doesn't, it's just real quick. And I think all of you know that your throttle is dependent on your PES mode. I think probably all of y'all realize that. I'll give you an example. I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna go down to 1 and you'll see what I'm talking about. I'm gonna give it full throttle. See, it just does ease off. See, I'm in 1 right now. Let me get those gears down a little bit. Okay, that's 1. Now I'm gonna bump it up to 2. And that's full throttle. Of course, I'm pedaling. Now I'm gonna bump it up to 3. That's full throttle and pedaling. Up to 3. Increase of the gear. Oh, got a train here. Okay, I'm gonna turn around. I need to wait for the train. And I've got it in 3. Get down this way. I have to come back up, that pesky old train. Okay, where were we? In 3. Okay. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it in 4, hit the throttle. And get a little more giddy up. Go up to 5, hit the throttle. A little more giddy up. I'm running out of road up here. Go up to 6. And see how it's proportionally changing. It goes to the high end of your PES mode. The throttle does, depending on what PES mode you're in. Okay. I'm gonna turn around here. I'm gonna put it in 9 just to give you some idea of the difference. Okay, now I'm gonna hit full throttle. And I can already tell that the battery acceleration is starting to fade a little bit. So the battery level as it is now is starting to fade just a little. Of course, I'm going uphill now. Not much of a hill, but it's a little hill. Wasn't a good place to show it. So I had that going up grade. Okay, and this is real bumpy along in here. I don't know if I want to go up too fast. Yeah, you can tell a lot of difference. Just there I could turn this corner. These are not the smoothest roads right here where I'm at right now. Okay, and then 9, go to full throttle. And I didn't peak out. Drop it back down to 5. Drop dropped it down a couple of gears. This area of eastern North Carolina is relatively flat. We're not quite into the hills yet. We're not far from the coastal plain, kind of on the edge of the coastal plains. So it's pretty flat around here. The town is Rocky Mount. Most people think I'm living in the mountains when I say Rocky Mount, but they just have a lot of rocks around here, and I think they had a big one. And as you see, a lot of times when you're in PAS mode and you're not up to the maximum speed for that particular PAS, it won't reach it. And you have to give it throttle to get it up there. Like, see, right now it's going along. See, it's really not at the full potential for 5. If I give it throttle, it picks it up. And once I reach that top end, then it will maintain it. I'll let go of it. Pretty much maintains that speed. And I think there's more of a difference on the, as your battery diminishes, gets lower, then it's a more noticeable spread between full throttle and the PAS mode that you're in, pedal assist. They seem to be pretty close under a full battery charge. But once the battery starts getting down on the low end, that PAS seems to not be quite as quick. And we're starting to go downhill. Kick it up a notch. Go down in this little hollow here by the creek. It's cool back in here. Cool, working on cold. Fall is in the air. Starting to have a few leaves start dropping off the trees. Haven't seen much color here yet. I'm sure the color is starting to show up in the mountains. They're usually several weeks ahead of us. And now I'm back in my neighborhood. Let me see here. Well, I've gone 16 miles today. I've gone 16 and my learner says 13.8, but my GPS says 16. And we'll check the voltage back when I get back, but my voltage should come out right around 46 or a little more. I think it's, I have to look on can't read it without my glasses, but down here I've got my battery scales, so I can tell when I get back what level it is. But usually I'm down to 25% after my 3rd day of riding. Okay, and I'm back home. Pull up under here. Boom, 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 boom. And here I is. Right back where we started from. Okay, I get back. We get that battery. You'll see right now it says 6.3, and I'm up closer to 30%. I've got 46.4 is 30%. I'm about 30% on my 3rd day. And as you can tell, this is not that much off now. It's at the very high end. I've got it calibrated real good, 100%. It's at that range between 50 and 75% level that I'm having a lot of trouble. It seems like it doesn't seem like anything that I do will affect that range noticeably. Played with those numbers and jumped them up and down in both directions, and it just seems like they're not that accurate. They're not way off. They might be off 5 to 10% in accuracy gauge, but down where you need it, it works fine. Like when it's fully charged, it'll show 100%. Good, because you want to make sure you've got 100% on both of these batteries when they start out. And when I get down toward my lower numbers, it works. I've got it set to where the other day I ran it down to where the battery, the motor shut down. So I ran it all the way down, and I had it right at 0% on this ball once I quit pedaling and let everything settle in. See, this has already creeped back up a little bit more. And it'll even get higher than that. Probably when I check it tomorrow morning, it might even be up to 46.5 or 6. See, right now it says I've got 46.4 and 46.4 is 30%. So we're not far off. It says 32. So I hope y'all have enjoyed this little video. It shows you kind of typical day that I go out and I do my little 15-mile exercise ride. Hope that y'all have gained something from this. I've got down here, this says I went 16 point, and as you can see, this is my main phone here. This is my Galaxy S9, and this is my old one, my 5 up here, S5. I had a maximum speed of 27 today. Let's see what this one says. Okay, it says, well, it's pretty close. It says maximum speed was 26.9. One up here says, that's pretty close. I've got the speedometer calibrated fairly well on it, pretty close to my GPS. Said I average 12 miles an hour. That changes a lot because this runs continuously. Some of these will stop when you stop riding, like with stop sign or whatever. They shut down on the time, on the distance. I mean, on the maximum, shut it down in such a way that you get, an average. You get a higher average. And but it's still not much off. It says 12.2 and it says 11.9, so that's not really that much off. Time I've been gone over 60 minutes. That's 67 minutes. That's from the time I cut it on. And this one, and then I'll go back to, I've got a little, well, actually today, at some point today, it's probably logged in on here at one point that I hit 400 miles. I'll just have to look through the data on this taping and find out exactly when I hit 400 miles on this bike. So that is going to conclude it for today. Hope y'all enjoyed this. Hope you learned a little bit, at least learned how I ride. And until next time, y'all have a nice day. Thanks for watching.